Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
More Town Called Liberty stuff.
Welcome to Burnout
Welcome
Studios.
To Burnout.
Um,
Do we have a name? We do have a name.
yeah, burnoutstudios.com, yes. But today we were, we'd unfortunately we were actually talking before we actually started. That's one of those dangers that you run into when you're doing a podcast. Because you start talking about what you're going to talk about, and then you kind of wear out the conversation before you even get on camera. But anyway, one of the things that I thought would be cool, because the last couple podcasts, which were unfortunately 2 weeks ago, we had talked about doing a Town Called Liberty, the short stories, turning it from what we originally started it as a comic book or comic, I don't even know how, but turning them into short little stories that are illustrated.
Right.
And so, but I thought it would be cool because I've been, working and listening to podcasts and stuff, and like I've said to Bruce before, when I search for podcasts, besides the big hitters like Joe Rogan and stuff, which I do listen to, I like to listen to podcasts that are story based. I like, and so like one of the ones that I listen to now, which is kind of fun, is this one called Crime Junkies, which I'm sure some people have heard about. It's doing really well as far as ratings, I think. But I like, and those are all true stories of crime. But there's I ran across another one. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it's four guys that just take a random subject and try to turn it into a story. Like they did one on the old saying of why did the chicken cross the road, and they were able to bounce ideas off each other. And this, like I said, there's four of them. Until they had a story that could be made into a movie type of thing. So yeah, I mean, I like that kind of stuff. And so what I was thinking was it would be neat to make probably another channel. I'm not positive if it needs to be another channel, but I'd like to read the short stories while the audience gets to view the story, the pictures that go along with the story, and doing that as a YouTube channel. And I think that would be really fun because each story is, we haven't actually mapped it out yet, and I haven't actually read one of the short stories yet, but I think it would be, anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes long. So it would be just this, these fun little short stories that people can watch and listen to. But I think it would be fun to do that, and maybe even have some music in the background. But I don't know what that costs or etc. But yeah, that's the idea. So, what is Bruce doing right now?
I was trying to get. I think my microphone stopped working.
Oh.
And I was trying to. I looked down. The little light
was off.
Oh, that's why.
It just came unplugged.
It came unplugged.
There it goes.
On my end, I thought it came unplugged as probably on the computer side. No. And I'm sitting there trying to figure out what's going on. Yeah, I unplugged it, plugged it back in, unplugged it, plugged it back in.
Okay. But well, yeah, can you show them some of the stuff from the first Town Called Liberty that we put together?
Sure.
Because this will be in comic book format, but the audience will be able to see kind of.
I don't know why it's displaying
that. I don't know. It's kind of cool.
That's odd that it's displaying Did I try to ask it to do something? Display capture. Add source.
Wow.
Cancel. It's not what I wanted. What? Nope. Nope. How did it dump?
Technical difficulties. Ah. There's our logo. Oh, sort of. Name's changed by now.
Wow. So, display capture. Primary capture, primary, secondary monitor.
Bruce updated his computer. It has been a while since we've run through anything.
I didn't do anything, actually. But I don't understand, why is it doing that monitor, not this monitor? Because
don't know.
I want a display capture. Capture your entire computer monitor. Scene.
Huh.
So this is one of those times when add a new source.
Maybe we weren't ready to start.
Aha!
Ah. What happened?
I told it to capture.
Aha. There we are. Okay. So, this is the second page of the Town Called Liberty. In the opening of the book, there's the president of the time, because this is set in the future, is giving a speech, and as he's giving the speech, the camera follows a train coming into town, and this is a little girl that's on the train with her parents and stuff like that. But what would be cool is we would be able to, we would take out the words that we have on here where it's set up in comic book format, and we'd remove the comic book format, and you would just hear my voice as it has the pictures in the background.
Right. Keep going.
Or if we could find somebody that can, I consider myself a fairly good reader, but I don't know how entertaining I am when I actually read. But I can't afford a professional voice actor, so too bad. Now what are you looking for?
Oh, there was a is that this comic books and graphic novel Fire, maybe.
Is this where you can read online?
Fire Sphere, is that what it was? I can't remember if this was it. I know that there was we're looking at a website. There was a thing that I signed up for a long time ago, that you could create those motion comics like that and have it hosted there, and you could either have it go along, have word balloons pop up in a certain sequence, so you could actually direct.
Yeah, I've seen those before, but I didn't want to do that.
Well, you could do both.
Right.
You give them the option of doing that or the audio version of it. And
right.
That might be kind of cool because then.
Right. But yeah,
I was just bringing that up.
I mean, because like in that first scene right there that they can see on the screen right there is, would you need to have motion in that? I mean, maybe because the train, you can already tell that the train is moving. I don't know if you need anything to
but if you
whoosh it along.
You don't need to, but if you put a little little
noises in the background,
sound in the background of it.
I thought about that.
Little air whooshing.
Right.
Then if you're already going to do an audio track, you could just
add that stuff. Yeah, that's what I think would be cool, is to actually. I mean, like I told you before, I've had soundtracks in mind for different things, but I mean, I don't know what it costs to get the rights for
music
for any of this stuff.
A lot,
right? So I mean,
especially if you want to use good music.
Well, I mean, I guess that's all an opinion on what's good.
Well, popular, I guess.
Right.
Like I followed this electronic guy who his first album he posted on a site that I really like that you can't use anymore because it's all Flash. Sucks. There's so much music, free electronic music on it. And it's really good stuff, but it's all Flash. You can still download it in FLAC and MP3s, and you can still get access to it, but it's called ectoplasm.com. But you can't stream it anymore. You used to be able to stream it right off the site. So I would just go there when I was streaming,
play it in the background,
hit play and let it go, and it's all DM free. Except there's been times when I think some Twits thought it was not, but I contacted him. I asked him, hey, can I use your music as background this album since it's free anyways? And he's like, yeah, dude, totally, that's cool.
Right.
So it was cool
because
I'm sure we could find some people like that.
Well, I just love to put these together as an actual episode where at the beginning it has the title, the town called Liberty, maybe a little intro music, and the credits, writer, director, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Well, that's one of those things, if we could.
I would love to get the damn an animated logo for Burnout Studios.
Yeah, I mean, if we could get a little, couple frames, like a minute's worth of it,
right,
then we could probably sell it and get production money to get all of it done. But
it's possible. I mean, just the president's speech, like you said, it's 8 pages long.
Right.
And if we just did that, where I was reading the president's speech in his cadence, that would be, pretty good.
Right. Well, I drew it 8 pages long. I guess it doesn't have to be 8 pages long.
No, I think the 8 pages is important because, like I said, see, this is what I meant by talking before we actually started, was we were talking about this. The 8 pages actually is introducing the main character of this storyline is the city itself.
Right.
So it's, it has a train coming into the city. It's, just like the Forrest Gump feather coming into the story, so it comes into the city and it shows you around a little bit. It shows you the what seems to be a perfect, future.
Oh, well, here, let's so
oh yeah,
you come into the city and then we see people on the train all excited about coming to the city.
Right.
And then you get to see the city, and what I wanted here was awesome park area, but then all this high-end shopping,
right,
stuff and big screen monitors. Probably should have gone twice as big on screens, more advertising. Problem was I'm not a very good text like fonts drawer,
right,
and so my ability, my names there all suck really bad. I mean, this stuff looks just horrible down in there. It's supposed to be SAC 9 instead of Saks Fifth Ave, Saks,
right,
Gochi, just I wanted some visible brand names that people would actually understand.
right.
Because the whole idea is that as long as people seem to have all the new stuff, they're willing to give up liberties for it, and we're seeing that play out so well today.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Let
me get rid of that. And then page 4. Once
more,
again,
more of the city.
Yeah, more shopping. They're out there. They got their lattes and their phones, and which is great because you're going to see all this. But later, you're going to see that the iPads and the phones are like iPad 12s.
Right.
This is supposed to be
in the future,
50 years in the future,
right.
But they're still going to be mainly tech from now. It's
right.
like
because that's one of those things that me and Bruce have talked about. Because yes, people are developing technology to actually implant stuff into your brain, but I'm of the opinion that this tech, it's going to get better, faster, et cetera, but it's I guess I just can't visualize in my brain replacing this with anything else, because this, it's funny because this thing was envisioned back in Star Trek: The Next Generation. That's what everybody carried, one of these tricorder things, and with a touch screen. So yeah,
they've been handing just clipboards to people in sci-fi movies back in the 50s forever, right. That were supposed to have information on them and
right.
stuff. Even in the original Star Trek series, they would hand Kirk all the time
mm-hmm.
progress reports just on
right.
on that clipboard, chunky clipboard thing, and he would sign off on it.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it's funny how you push technology,
mm-hmm.
but then you don't push it
right
enough.
Well, it's like
he signs for it, right?
Like everybody thinks that there was supposed to be some flying car by now.
Right. Well, no,
I mean, the technology exists, but I don't think the government would ever relinquish enough control to where they would allow people to fly.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like he uses an advanced tablet,
mm-hmm.
but then uses a pen to sign
right
his thing. Wouldn't it just be
his finger or something?
Kirk James T, and then a fingerprint and a retina scan, maybe all three at that level.
Right.
Bam. There's a
yeah.
type thing. It'd be like, yeah, that's what I mean. It's like,
mm-hmm.
or the real good one is in the late 80s or mid 80s, they figured out how to take the telephone and take the receiver and the hearing and put it in that overhead strap with the headphone with the little thing coming down, and it's like,
and now
that's futuristic.
You have that one that just fits in your ear.
You just have a jawbone. You just have one little thing in there that does it. But it's like it's amazing how you things get smaller and not more cumbersome. I think that's why people didn't like Next Generation sometimes, is because the phasers were just like flashlights,
right?
Type things, and like it was like wait, where'd all the accoutrements go? Because that's half the fun of science fiction is the tech, right?
Well, I do like the fact that they replaced that old communicator with the
tap on the
the thing
on the insignia, right?
And that makes sense.
Right, that makes sense. But yet, you missed the you missed that flip. Yeah, that's part of the. It's part of the.
I've got to tear this universe a new black hole.
The love of the show of the genre. Wow, my brain.
Because
we haven't done this for a couple weeks and I'm struggling.
Well, what's funny is I mean it is fun to, when the director or whoever is in charge of such a thing, I would guess it would be the director of a movie or a TV show, takes the time to actually create something versus pulling something out of their ass and using a flashlight to be this phaser or something. Or one of the worst ones was it wasn't Star Trek, but I think it was one of the Star Trek other ones, like the not the Enterprise, but what was the space station one? Deep Space Nine.
Deep Space Nine.
There was some bad guys that they ran into, and they were shooting these laser rifles at them, and the laser rifles were actually Calico M900s. That because they have the thing on the clip on the top, and but they were going pew pew pew, but it's like. Some lazy person said, that looks futuristic. We'll just use that. Mm-hmm. It's like, no. That's one of the things that I loved so much about when, I can't remember, Cameron did Aliens. They went through the process of making the pulse rifle. And the one that was on the, can't remember what that. The incinerator, which was the one that was mounted to their body on the little arm that they could move around. The big heavy weapon. No, this was in Aliens.
Was it in Aliens?
The second one, yeah.
Oh, the second one. I watched the first one last night. Haven't seen it for a long time.
John Hurt.
Yeah.
They.
Been so long since.
I was actually watching. It's a Netflix show, and it's really fun to watch because. It's our generation. But the movies that made us, have you watched that yet?
No, I haven't watched
They had one on Aliens, Alien, the first one, because, and they were talking about that scene, because they had gone through the scene 5 or 6 times before they added any of the blood and stuff, right? And so, nobody actually saw the work that they had done on the creature, because that creature was a puppet, that they had made. And so, John Hurt starts doing his thing, and they're all, holding him down and stuff. And then that first, convulsion and you see the blood kind of, form on his shirt. And everybody in that scene looks genuinely scared because they didn't do the rehearsal with any blood or anything like that. And John Hurt, he's a great actor and he's hamming it up there, and then you get that second convulsion and the damn thing bursts out of his chest and they all freak out. And there was no acting there.
There was no acting. That's cool, yeah. That's good.
Yeah. So it was great. It's amazing how we get off on these tangents.
Right. A bit of storytelling. We're talking about storytelling.
Right. But I think this would be really kind of fun to do these little short stories. And like I was saying to you before we started the camera, was I think this would be a easier idea to sell to somebody and trying to get these turned into animation. Because we could do the animation, but God, that would take forever.
Kinda. I don't know how to animate.
Right. We have no idea.
I mean, I supposedly could learn how, but I don't know.
No, I mean, it sounds like even with the modern technology that they have, I mean, it is truly still just drawing a bunch of,
Yeah, it's a lot of drawing.
It's frame by frame by frame by frame. It's like, oh my God.
It takes a long time. Unless you're a master like Aaron Blaze and you watch him animate, but he'll animate 5 seconds,
right?
But in like 3 hours,
right?
2-3 hours, and you're just like, but that he's a master at it. If you want to have some fun, go watch his YouTube channel, Aaron Blaze. And he's the one. He did
another one that I haven't watched, but I need to.
He did The Beast and Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, nice.
And I think he did Simba, or maybe he did Mufasa. I can't remember.
But another YouTube channel that I keep meaning to watch, but I haven't watched. Sorry, can't remember his name right now.
More name dropping.
Yeah, Freedom Tunes though.
Freedom Tunes. Oh yeah.
I haven't watched them, but he basically does these little
I haven't
political
watched
cartoons.
Yeah.
You know, and as far as I know, they're animated, but I'm not positive.
I think so.
Yeah, they're little 5 to 15 minute.
He's gotten
clips.
big enough now.
Oh yeah.
He's gotten people working for him.
Well, yeah, and I mean he's been on Tim 1,000 times.
Tim, yeah, a couple good times.
Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah, I just watched an episode of Tim today. It's like
I've been watching a few, but I don't know if it was today's episode.
I think it was from last week actually. Well, they haven't had one yet today. It's on at 6. No, it was last week's. It was the one about Ilhan Omar.
Okay.
I think.
Yep.
It was alright. It was a good episode, but it's like
right. But yeah. But I think it would, I mean, our podcast is fine enough, but I think it would be cool to have, I don't know, more production value.
Yeah.
You know.
That's what we need interns for.
Yes, come work for us for free. Let's pull that off.
That's what you need kids for.
Right.
Young kids that they just want to do something. What was fascinating is I used to hang out with all these animators with that sketch club thing, and I look at all these modern cartoons. It's like I don't want to make any of that. Why do you want to be in that business? You know, and for them, it's not about what they're animating; it's that they're animating.
Right.
You know what I mean? For me, if I was going to go in animation, I'd want to be animating, Into the Spider-Verse. You know,
stories that don't suck.
Well, not just stories. I want subject. Right. I want awesome looking characters. I want, if I'm working at Disney, I want to be doing Atlantis,
right?
Not Toy Story.
I don't know. I think the original Steamboat Willie was pretty good.
No, I never liked that. I never liked that animation.
That's what actually launched his.
Yeah, I never liked the old, like rubber armed animation back in the day.
Right.
Whenever I'd watch the Looney Tunes, I'd be upset when that stuff came on. I just wanted to watch Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner, Daffy Duck, those Looney Tunes. I didn't like the old Looney Tunes stuff.
No. The Animaniacs kind of recaptured some of that for a while, but
a little bit.
They died off. I don't know why they died off, but they died off. Because I thought that they did a really good job of bringing that back, putting the violence back in cartoons.
The only thing I liked that they did was that movie, the animated movie. They did a movie, Animaniacs movie. It's actually pretty decent.
Because I liked all the Pinky and the Brain stuff.
Well, yeah, Pinky and the Brain was pretty good.
And I liked everything with the Warner Brothers and sister. Especially when they would do this stuff, the music, like all 50 states in alphabetical or whatever like that. Or all the countries of the world.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. I didn't watch that much of it.
Animax was great.
Instead of that, I was watching Batman, the animated series.
I watched both.
That was awesome.
I watched both. They were on the same day.
Oh.
But yeah.
Nah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Ultron, Ultraman.
I just think that there's definitely a market, especially for people like me that because we could easily read these stories. Each story is about half an hour long, just short stories, and a person doesn't have to be viewing the pictures. The pictures will add something to it, but hopefully the stories come across well enough to where a person can just listen to it in an audio format also. But I think the pictures...
You know, it might be kind of interesting. It'd be hard to do. We don't have the setup for it. I mean, we know somebody that has the setup, but it'd be kind of rude to ask them for the help.
Who?
Austin.
But
it'd be kind of interesting to do with this is to get like a couple more people and actually turn this into the old like Green Hornet episodes back, just the radio things.
Right.
With the whole, open up the door.
Right.
Hi. Mine, and it's just radio episodes
Right.
kind of thing.
We need some coconuts to do horse sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you get a coconut?
That might be pretty
Maybe it
interesting.
migrated. What do you mean? Are you saying that a coconut has the ability to migrate? It's like, well, maybe it was carried by a swallow. A swallow?
You tell me a 5-ounce bird can carry an 8-ounce coconut? Or maybe there's two of them with a string
Right.
between.
Well, maybe it was an African swallow. Well, African swallows, sure, but, we're not talking
Not
about
European
Africa.
swallow. Maybe it was two.
Anyway,
Oh, they're silly.
once stories.
Yes. If you haven't watched Monty Python, The Holy Grail,
Sorry
then
for all those people that got that reference.
we
Good for
don't know
you.
what to do with you. I'm just trying to think about it. That'd be kind of interesting, actually.
But yeah. So, what was the next page after this one? This is page 4, wasn't it? Because this shows the outside of a university.
Because, that'd be kind of... This is page... We're on 7.
Okay. And then, so it shows the outside of a university, because then the next scene is inside the university in a classroom, where the teacher is actually listening to the president's speech on television. So,
And everybody's cheering how awesome it was.
right.
Except for... It's kind of hard to see, except for this guy back here.
Yeah. You have to zoom in.
Oh, well, that worked out well. Undo brush. Where's brush size? Here we go. Except for this guy back here, who's just staring at the girl.
He's kind of embarrassed anyway. Goes in the next scene.
We see him.
Mm-hmm.
But in the background is still the
because the speech was.
oh, that speech
partial.
is still going on.
Oh, okay.
Or wait, did I get this out of order?
I don't know.
I think so. That wouldn't be
There.
surprising. Oh, so I did.
This would probably be where page. That was probably page 7 right there. Or I don't know.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Because that seems like it would be more like page 7, where he's just kind of staring off, and then the guy clicks off the TV.
Yeah, their click off. You know what? I might have to, if we were to use that same drawing, maybe his click up here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'd have to do something where I put in like a volume, like click volume up. You know, like
Right.
he's trying to raise the volume, so it's
Right.
otherwise. I was gonna redraw this stuff. It's a little dated now.
Well, only in your mind. I mean, I really like the artwork on this, because like with Shattered Time, we I don't know if we're looking for pure
There's
realism,
11.
but it's a lot more realistic. This is more cartoony, which I like.
Yeah, I like the cartoon.
Mm.
Wow, look at that nasty tangent. Finger touching the top of the page. Oh, gosh.
Maybe he's just pointing at the logo. So that's where everybody's congratulating that kid because he won a internship into a power company. So, and he's getting an award and blah 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 blah.
That was 12, right? No, that was 13. Wow, a lot of
words.
A lot of words for that one. And he's talking to the girl on the way home.
And this is we were using a computer program. We were talking about this before we
It was in Google SketchUp back in the day.
right. And so
Now SketchUp wants you to pay for it.
costs money now, but I don't know how much it costs. I mean, it might be worth it.
It's enough. Well, it would be worth it if we were making money.
Right. But it
It'd just be one
it
of those-
it allows we put together a map of the city, an overview of the city, and this program allows you to go straight onto a street in your imagined city, and it has the background and everything that it puts it in for you.
Yeah.
So it made it easier for Bruce to just concentrate on doing the characters themselves and just insert them into this.
Yeah.
And I think it looks great.
Everybody says that's cheating.
I don't care if it's
Right.
cheating. It looks great.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say the same thing about South Park. They use cutouts to do animation. That's cheating. It's like, yeah, but they can put it together in 4 days.
Big old energy farms.
Yep. Which is what the first episode is about, is green energy. But I think with that, I think that program is kind of important because
That's where we were at right there.
Right. That's the last page we got done.
Kind of looks like Tim Pool.
Without the beanie.
Maybe I should put him a beanie. The story of Tim going woke. It would be interesting. A high production value of it. It would be kind of interesting. It'd be interesting to have the visuals, how we were thinking of doing it, but have it play with the radio show behind it type thing. The whole old school radio serials that you know.
Oh, you mean the sound effects and stuff like that?
Well, yeah, but I mean just like the Green Hornet.
Right.
Dun dun dun.
Right.
Hey, you!
Right.
Stop there.
I think that'd be fun. Yes.
That'd be
really fun.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Because I mean.
These are the tales of a town called Liberty.
Right.
Chapter 1: Curiosity Kills.
Right. But yeah, I think it would be a blast to put together, and I think it would.
That would be fun, actually.
I mean, the biggest problem I see is the same problem that I run into when I'm online on Spotify or whatever, looking for things, because they have categories for all these things on Spotify, and but when I type in stories, it'll pop up a bunch of suggestions, but I don't know how you get on the top of that list. I want people to be able to search, stories or search, something and find us, for Christ's sakes. Because, I don't know.
I don't know how. I'm not familiar with Spotify.
Right.
But I know in other places, like with Facebook, you have to use AdSense.
Right.
You have to pay for those ads. Pay for that pump up. Other places, you have to pay for that. It comes from just growing our community.
Right.
And then our community linking it out, and
right.
That's what has to happen. It has to grow from that. So
yeah, sounds like work.
It's a lot of work, and
but it has to happen.
It's all work that has to happen. Work that I need to do, and then maybe eventually we can always. It'd be nice to be able to find somebody to help, because if I could draw it, we found somebody who would be willing to help with the animation editing and stuff like that. I mean, we could always do a show. Just put it together, slap first book together, send it off to somebody, and then if we got production money to go actually make it high value, and then after that it's just turning it out,
Right. Yeah.
That would be a blast. I mean, and I'd even be willing to turn over drawing to somebody else if that's what, and then I could be working on Shattered Time or other things, and
right.
But
maybe it is.
In order for it to get done faster and more in an episode. Sorry about that. In a more episode friendly thing. I mean, because you could put one of these together easily once a week.
Right.
Almost. I just don't know if we have. Do we have 50 stories?
No, not written down. As far as stories that have been written down, I've only got like 3. So.
Right.
But yeah.
We'd have to.
But I mean, I have a laundry list of, because that's the way that for this particular storyline, for Liberty, I just write down the ideas or the subjects basically, that I would want to cover.
Right.
You know.
Well, what might be interesting then is maybe look at some of these stories as I don't know, like we wanted to talk about this. The whole idea of doing this podcast this way was just brainstorming, you know, how we come up with story ideas, but there's always the idea of extending so that some of these stories, I mean, it'd be one thing to have 20-minute, 15-minute episodes, but yet it is a serial, so it takes 6 of those to finish the story.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So, in order to encompass the first book, I don't know what that would mean. But some of those old stories, you know, if you look at old Twilight Zone things, you know, they're quick, but you have to have 100 of them.
Right.
That's
right. That's one of the things that I have trouble with. Like, you know, like I was saying that with the Crime Junkies podcast or whatever. There's another one that Rogan mentioned that I actually listened to. I don't find it as entertaining as the Crime Junkies podcast. It's mainly because of his storytelling. Anyway, there's a podcast called Hardcore History. And
I tried listening to that, and I didn't enjoy it.
It's not as,
for as amazing as they talked it up about.
Right.
And then I listened to the guy on Rogan's show, and I was like, okay, so this guy knows some stuff, so it's going to be really interesting.
Right.
And I just slogged through some Roman stuff, you know. It was just like...
That's the exact same way I felt.
What
and
is... Well, I don't...
And that was the one thing that I like about the Crime Junkies is it's 2 women that are telling a story. The one person that's obviously in charge, she writes all the stories and stuff and starts telling. And the other girl, it seems like her job is just to ask relevant questions at the right time. So she'll be telling a story about like Scott Peterson and Lacey Peterson.
Oh, yeah.
That. So they, you know.
Do I remember that? That's my hometown.
So they were talking about, you know,
that was Modesto.
They were talking about all that stuff, and you know, and so the other girl, she just listens, you know, to her tell the story, and then every once in a while I was like, wait a second, why didn't he do this at this moment, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, I was wondering that myself. And so it's them, you know, talking to each other, but not actually talking to each other. You know, it's mostly telling the story, but so it was a lot.
That scripted banter?
It's a lot more entertaining than that guy on the Hardcore History thing. I mean, I know he tries to make it gritty or whatever, but it most of the time doesn't come off gritty. It kind of comes off boring.
Right.
You know, it reminds me of, you know, when I'd have history teachers that sucked in school telling you, you know, history, which I love history, but they're not telling it the right way. They're telling you, you know, figures and facts and blah,
right.
And it's like, no, that's not what I want to hear about. You know, there was another one that I found, and it was also true stories of history, but he did these really long stories about a certain subject, and he did one on the Donner Party, and it was 27 episodes.
27 episodes?
And each episode was just fucking fascinating, because he would give all the... Because there was a lot of people that died in the Donner Party.
I mean, isn't it just Gnawing on Bones for 27 episodes?
No, no, because one of the first persons that died was accidentally shot in the back.
Really?
On their, you know, when they started the trip, and then one of the people the guy that shot the other guy, there was a big fight, and he assaulted some other people, and he was basically kicked out of the group. And he ends up being the guy that comes back to save them.
Oh, really?
Because he had 2 daughters that were still in part of the group, and that was another thing that was fascinating. Was it was, talking about all the children that were there. God, I can't remember that guy's name. I'm just trying to. I mean, I might as well plug his podcast. Is it this one? Yeah, Great History Stories.
Great History Stories.
But like I said, when I go to look up podcasts, I usually type in stories. But that guy is fun to listen to. But my biggest problem with podcasts in general is, they'll start putting out all this content, and eventually, because I'm a binge listener, because I'm usually listening at work, trying to, just go through the daily grind, and I'll go through somebody's whole lifetime of podcasts from start to finish. It's like, oh shit. So if you're not like a Rogan or a Tim Pool, where you're doing it every day, there's people like me that just get irritated that you don't have anything new.
That is what they say is the good and the bad of the internet business, right?
But like Rogan, he'll take weekends off, and you can tell because there's that lull.
Right.
But Pool
works 4 days.
Pool works the whole damn thing. I mean, he has stuff on Sundays.
He takes Saturday, Sunday off,
but he still puts out content on those days.
Yeah, he puts out content, but usually it's clips from the shows earlier. But
so yeah,
or if there's some relevant news that pops up, that he'll do his Timcast, whatever.
Right.
But yeah. No, that's always been the rub of the internet business. It's never better time to start a business. It's never the worst time to start the business.
Right.
If you can find an audience, it's the best.
Yeah.
If you can keep an audience, it's great. But if you can't keep the audience, it's a struggle.
My biggest worry, and like you said, it's probably we just have to make sure that our friends, watch them and like them and share them. Because I don't know how anybody, because I've searched, Spotify and all these different places thousands of times, typing in, stories or, history or whatever word, for it to search, and I've gotten lucky to find certain things, but most of the time I never find what I'm looking for.
Are you looking for like stories or breakdowns of stories?
Well, the thing is when I started typing in history, people are giving me historical stories, which I love. I love history, but when you type in stories, and it has no idea what to give you,
But once again, that's what I'm asking. Are you looking for actual, like, other people's stories?
Yes. I'm looking for, because there's stuff that usually pops up for some reason. I don't know why. Is what you'll get pops up is, like, true stories.
True stories.
And then crime stories, which, that one's kind of fun. And then there's one that then, for some reason, it'll pop up spooky stories, and it's like, well, great, but isn't there anybody out there that's just writing fictional stories?
Oh, I think they do, but I think they're all trying to sell them on Amazon.
Right.
Through their Amazon's, they have their authoring program, whatever
But I think
I think most people don't want to give it away, and so they're trying to,
Well, I think because there's websites you can go to where you can write short stories and share them, and people read them and give comments and all that kind of stuff, and that's great. But I mean, I don't know if we're pioneering here or anything, but I want to do that same thing on a YouTube type channel where the masses can see it, not just the people that go to those story sites and physically read it. I want to have people listen to stories and go, yeah, this guy's entertaining. And, because if you hear what if you like what you hear, more than likely when we get to the point where we're publishing stuff and, putting everything in book form, those people will come to buy the book. So, at least that's my thought.
That's your thought.
So,
I know well, I was trying to explain this to my sister-in-law. It's just like, there's this whole generation out there now that, like, the idea of getting a super chat, like, here's $10, hey, I love your content, keep it up, that blows her brains. She just doesn't understand that. That's just giving away money for her. Just the idea of it's like, what?
Right.
It was entertainment. Wasn't that worth paying for?
Right.
But at the same time, they have like the Netflix that, the group Netflix and the.
Well, yeah.
They use their kids' Netflixes and.
But it's funny because, like, people call up or super chat, Tim Pool and give him money and all that kind of stuff. But what's really funny is there's girls in their parents' basement doing OnlyFans, doing the exact same fucking thing. Getting $50 here, $100 here to show their nipple.
Well, but not. I mean, that's but I mean. I think the craziest ones, I'm sitting there watching guys play Call of Duty.
Yeah,
and you see some guy gives them $100.
Right.
$100. Or give him $50. Give him $20. Even $10. It's like, what?
Right.
Just to watch a guy play Call of Duty?
Yeah.
Who has this kind of cash just to throw around? It's like,
right.
There is. That's why I say it. That's why I keep saying it's the best time to start a business like this. It's just whether or not you can grab an audience and hold it.
Right.
And like you said, and even if they didn't buy your product, if they bought your product over the time while you're making it, then it's just the same.
Mm-hmm.
If they gave you $30, $40 worth of super chats over the 9 months it took me to make a book, then they bought a book.
Right.
You know what I mean? It to me, it's no different. It's still supporting us.
Right.
Would I love if they support us and bought the book? Of course. But, if you don't really want the book, but you care about just keeping people working and stuff like that, then it's an actual amazing beast of a business, because you can still support people without having to actually buy their product. Where sometimes back in the day, you only had to buy the product.
But one of the things that worries me is I sometimes worry that we are the pioneer. I mean, I don't know if worry is the right word. I want to create this channel where we tell these short stories and stuff, and basically it's just you and me showing off our talents. I write stories, you draw, and but I personally know, I don't know, 50 or more people who are amateur writers, and it's like every one of them that I talk to is too scared to do something like this. And it just dumbfounds me. It's like, some always say the obvious of, oh, well, I'm afraid somebody will steal my idea. It's like, motherfucker, if you're putting it on video, you are protecting yourself, because everything's basically copywritten at that point.
Right.
And so that, and then the other people are like, well, I would just be too scared to go on video and to read and do this stuff. And it's like, well, bitch, if you're too scared to go on video to do this, then you're never going to release your book. Nobody will ever know that you're worth a shit as a writer. So I don't get it. I mean, so yeah, I sometimes worry that the generation of writers that are out there right now are all just too pussy to do anything.
Right.
You know? And it's really scary because one of my biggest complaints of Hollywood, and one of everybody's biggest complaints of Hollywood, is they have no original stories. They just keep on remaking stuff or making sequels to stuff that's already been made, and it's all just sugary bullshit that, there's no entertainment value whatsoever.
Right. Well, not only that, but when they do make stuff, I guess people aren't going to see it.
Right.
I guess that Suicide Squad bombed.
Yeah,
is bombing. I don't know
bombing,
why.
Right.
Because it was better than the first one.
Well, what's funny is like Tim Pool was talking about this on one of the podcasts. He was saying that a Marvel movie came out and did poorly, and pre-COVID, Marvel movies were making $1 billion in the opening week, and now it's like
Captain Marvel made $1 billion.
Yep,
but
Black Widow, which is much better. Well, I haven't seen it yet.
Black Widow was a better movie by far than Miss Marvel, because at least the character wasn't plastic.
Right.
But by no stretch was it a great movie. I thought Suicide Squad was actually quite funny, but the only reason I watched it on Amazon Prime.
And that's happening.
No, HBO Max.
Nobody.
I watched on HBO Max.
I sometimes wonder, and I worry. Once again, I don't know if worry is the right word, but because Tim Pool was saying the same thing. I don't think movie theaters are going to survive.
It doesn't seem like it. Well, but it's getting harder to justify going to the theater when
it's $20 a pop. Yeah, I know.
Not only that, but it's $20 just to see the film plus another $20 for food.
Right.
For yourself, so it's $60 for two people. A family, gosh, it's $100 easy, if not more.
It's ridiculous.
But you can buy a reasonably good sized screen TV now, sit at home, and you're not missing much.
I see really, bigger than the screen I have at home, and I don't even remember what mine is, but it's not as big as the one you have downstairs. But the ones I see them at Walmart now, and they're smart TVs with huge screen, great clarity, 4K or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And they're like $800. It's like, wow, cool.
Yeah. And then if you really wanted to go, you could get yourself a little projector and do a 100-inch screen. And
yeah, I actually did buy a projector.
Did you?
Yeah, so I could watch stuff outdoors when I'm, on my patio. But yeah, it's crazy.
But they talk about studios not making anything anymore, but you look at how much content's actually coming out. Every streaming service has shows.
Mm-hmm. Right now,
cable channels you never even heard of have their own proprietary shows, and
yeah,
there's so much content being made, and what I fear is going to get to a point too where they're gonna make it, but you're not gonna make any money off it because there's so much to go around that the profit margins are so small,
right?
That they actually aren't gonna.
Well, sometimes I
pay
do.
You for it.
Sometimes I do wonder how
they'll pay you, but not like back in the day,
right? Well, sometimes I wonder how companies like Netflix, who make all these original movies, they've been making a crap ton, and they're good, but without getting asses in seats, watching a movie theater, I sometimes wonder how they make their money. Is it just because they have new people subscribing?
Well, you think about $15 a month
right.
versus 100 million people,
right.
X amount of people, that adds up quick. And then you have, I don't know, you got X amount of money to go make shows and movies, and then
Mm-hmm.
That's what you produce every year.
Right.
And then the movies you get on there only have a production value of so high.
Right.
You know what I mean? They can still look pretty decent.
Right.
But you're not going to get the super special effects, the super duper stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get the Marvel de-aging stuff that they do in some of their movies. You're not going to get. That's expensive.
Well, wasn't that last Scorsese, the Irishman?
Oh, the Irishman. Did they do some of it in that?
Yeah. That was a Netflix movie. But honestly,
Yeah, but what I meant
I don't
is
think I watched that whole movie yet. I think I only watched part of it.
I haven't watched anything on Netflix for a while. There's nothing been exciting to me on Netflix.
Well, the most exciting thing at the moment on Netflix, in my opinion, is the movies that made us.
Yeah.
Series that they've done. That's just really fun because they did one on Forrest Gump, they did one on Back to the Future, they did, Dirty Dancing.
Yeah, I have to watch that. I like the toy one. The toy one was great.
The toys that made us.
The toys that made us.
But yeah, it's kind of fun to hear about the behind the scenes stuff of all the trouble that they went through to make the movie. Because they filmed what was it? Not half, but at least a quarter of the movie without Michael J. Fox. I can't remember the name of that actor that they had first.
More than that, though. I think I thought it was like 60% of the movie. I thought it was like
a quarter to a half, something like that. But
Eric Stoltz.
Eric Stoltz, and that guy just because when they were telling him about the movie, and the director, was constantly reminding him that this was supposed to be a lighthearted comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But Eric Stoltz, for some reason, had it in his mind that it was a sad drama, and played it so just like that, where he was trying to, make each scene a tear-jerking scene.
I don't know. No,
I don't know how anybody reads a script.
That movie's only a comedy,
right? So, but yeah, it's like I said, that's about the most exciting thing on Netflix right now. But that goes by way too fast too. You binge watch that and it's over. Luckily, they keep adding stuff to it because they,
do they?
The Forrest Gump thing was new. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I haven't been watching
Well, it was funny.
any of that. So I've been watching like old westerns on Amazon.
Well, one of the things that I was kind of shocked to hear was, that Forrest Gump was a book first.
Yeah.
And it was a book about a special person who becomes a professional wrestler. And he's this huge, massive man. And, has all these adventures in his life and blah, blah, blah. And everybody said, that it was an okay book. But for some reason, in the book, when you're reading it, you at least fall in love with the character. The story, like I said, was eh. And so they changed it to where they kept those traits of the character that you fall in love with, but they did a whole different...
Just put him in better situations.
Better story, where he becomes a fishing boat captain and,
and dying.
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah. But
it's amazing how sometimes it takes somebody's, different look on something.
Well, it was funny. One of the things...
change it drastically.
I thought that forever, because, when they first had the idea for the Forrest Gump, banged out the script finally. They always wanted, the Tom Hanks to do it, and so they asked him, and he signed on to it, but for the entire every scene that they were, that they would practice, he had never figured out what voice to use.
The voice, yeah.
So he was just saying all the lines the way he would say it, in his voice, I love you, Jenny, that kind of stuff. But what was funny is, so he hadn't found his voice, and everything was, moving along, and it was like time to shoot the, first scenes. And thankfully, the first scenes that they shot was with the young Forrest and all those scenes that kid did.
Yeah.
And that kid's voice is that.
Right.
And so, first time Tom Hanks heard him deliver lines, are you stupid or something? Mama says stupid is, stupid does. Tom Hanks was like, yes. And it showed him like on a set with this kid, and everything the kid was doing, Tom Hanks was in the background just watching intently. Every little nuance, every little thing that so that's all he was doing, was copying everything about that kid.
Yeah, I think he said in another interview somewhere, he was talking about it. He was like, because they were trying to come up with the voice, right? And they were like trying to get the kid to talk differently to match Tom Hanks,
right?
But then they said, instead, why don't I talk like the kid? I'll match the kid,
right. And then what was funny was after he had done the voice, and they started sending out the dailies to their money people.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, he's not actually going to do this entire movie with that fucking voice, is he? They're like, no way. No, he can't do that voice. And they kept on trying to talk him out of it, but nope, he did it.
Yeah, it's
so yeah. Because that was one thing that in that particular movie, everything that the all the money people kept coming back to Robert Zemeckis and Tom Hanks and telling them stuff not to do, and don't do this and don't do that, and let's take this scene out and let's take this scene out. And Robert Zemeckis always wanted it to be this kind of tour of America and what makes America great, And if you take out all the scenes in Vietnam, because there was a lot of money being exploded in Vietnam, in just those scenes, so finally Tom Hanks and Robert Zemeckis sat down and had a conversation and said, well, they're not going to give us the money for this, and they're not going to give us the money for this. And they both agreed, fuck Hollywood, and they financed a lot of that shit themselves.
Did they?
Mm-hmm. Because they wanted to make their movie, not their movie.
Right.
And that's what when you were talking about Netflix, they might not have the budget to do the special effects, but yeah, it's I think sometimes it just takes certain directors, to take over and put their money where their mouth is.
Right. What?
Because I would love them to do that that show. They do one on Tombstone.
Tombstone, yeah.
Because I've already read quite a bit about it. How literally Kurt Russell kind of took over everything. Because so.
Well, it's a fascinating concept of how a producer can make or break a movie or anything, albums.
Right.
It's amazing how many of these rock albums you love, you only love it because the producer made it as good as it is.
Right.
It's quite fascinating. You VH1 the hits,
the behind the music. Yeah, that was the one where there was the documentaries.
Yeah, it was almost the same thing. You go in there and these guys just start playing the music, and these guys would come in and go, hey, well, what about if you tried it like this, or
right,
try doing it like that, and you're just like all of a sudden,
well,
you hear the song starts to come.
One
alive.
of my favorite behind the music was well, there's two of my favorites. One was Metallica, but my other favorite was Red Hot Chili Peppers, because Chili Peppers, similar to MC Hammer. MC Hammer actually was a priest who was actually putting out music and all that. Yeah, he was a preacher, and all his music that he was doing was recorded and put together by him and his church, and they were selling CDs on the street,
right?
And they were making a fuck ton of money. And then when some producers came to him and said, "Hey, we want to give you an album, blah 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 blah," he said, "Okay, well, how much money are you going to give me for this, blah 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 blah?" And they said, "Well, here's a number," and they give him the number, and he's like, "I make more than that already." and so they had to give him, a lot more money. But with Red Hot Chili Peppers, those guys, they had a band where they would go out and they were already touring. They were going out to all these different nightclubs around LA, and they were just playing music, just random shit that just came to their head at that moment. And at one point, they asked their friend Anthony Kiedis to read poetry while they played music. And so he would kind of rap out this poetry as the music was playing, and they started becoming more and more popular, and they were being booked everywhere. And at one point, a producer came to him and said, we'd love to do an album. And they said, well, we would too, but we haven't written down anything. We don't write songs, we just play music, And they're like, so we don't even know what our sound is.
Huh.
And so they said, well, we have a person that you might want to meet. And they introduced him to George Clinton from Parliament and Funky Dolls, the P-Funk All-Stars, and he became their mentor and helped them produce their sound.
Oh, that's cool.
And so that's why all of the Red Hot Chili Peppers has that kind of funk to it. And so, yeah, that's how they,
Huh.
But yeah, that's really cool. But yeah, that's what a producer can do. Because, yeah, I mean, all they knew is that they, for some reason, were popular.
Yeah, some people can make Red Hot Chili Peppers, and other ones can make The Last Jedi.
Right. right. Not everybody's vision is perfect. And that's one, talking about perfect visions, like me, I'll forgive people for their screw-ups. Because I will still say that M. Night Shyamalan is one of my favorite directors because he did Unbreakable and Glass and all the in that series. But man, when he did that Last Airbender or whatever the hell, holy shit, he screwed the pooch on that.
Yeah, Last Airbender was pretty bad.
It was horrible, and then they didn't even make the sequel to it because it was so horrible.
Yeah, you don't come back from that very well.
But like I said, I forgive him because he did Unbreakable.
He did Unbreakable.
I mean,
Unbreakable is a great movie.
And well, yeah, I mean, and Sixth Sense was a great movie, although I think it was overplayed. But yeah, but Unbreakable, that was his finest achievement.
Yeah.
I even like Lady in the Water, and most people don't like that.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
So. But I think Shyamalan's great, and Signs. I loved Signs. Mostly because it had Mel Gibson in it, but it was a great movie.
I like Mel.
Yeah. But the best scene in the movie is not one that Mel's in. My favorite scene in the movie is where Joaquin Phoenix is watching the TV. And, they're showing this movie or this, on the street scene where somebody filmed an alien. And, he's sitting there watching it and he's getting closer and closer. And all of a sudden you see this green creature run across the screen and he jumps back and he's like, oh. And he looks truly terrified, and I'm thinking to myself, how did they pull that off? I mean, is he that good of an actor? I mean, because it was so believable.
Sometimes he's. I mean, Joker was amazing. Right?
Yes, it was.
Joker was amazing. I think, yeah, sometime around there is when he came into his, Gladiator. His role in Gladiator is just really good. He's made some really good little movies. He's made some ones that are kind of like really odd. I can't remember the name of this one, but he played this like private detective, I think, in L.A. And that one's pretty interesting. The Prophet.
Wow.
Was it The Prophet? I think so. That one's with Philip Hoffman, Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah,
that one was a good movie. But he's done some really good work. But
right.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that kind of like gets way into the character.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he can sell a scene. I mean, like I said, because like when he's sitting there watching TV and you see these kids run across the screen, he's like, "Get out of the way, kids!" I'm like, wow, because that's yeah, but yeah, it's a good movie. Mel needs to do more stuff.
Well, we wasted. I go back and I watch these old movies, and then I think where those people would have made movies in other genres, and I'm like, I feel like we wasted Clint Eastwood and a lot of stuff. I feel like we wasted Burt Reynolds and a lot of stuff. Mel Gibson.
I would agree on Burt 100%.
There's 10 years that we wasted with Gibson, him having to get his good graces back in Hollywood, but there's like a whole subgenre of movies. It's like all of a sudden they do something like, oh wow, like Get Gringo. That was a great little flick. I mean, he's done other stuff kind of like that, but nothing that good. I think.
I thought Bloodfather was really good.
Payback,
fucking great.
Right? It's like I need more Mel Gibson gangster.
Well, what was funny was I even loved the slogan on the poster for Payback. It's time to root for the bad guy.
It's time to root for the bad guy.
Awesome. And it was a great movie.
I mean,
because even all the scummy, shady shit that he was doing. Like when he went into that one restaurant and he was using somebody's stolen credit card and. The guy's like, "Sorry, sir, your card didn't go through." And he's like, "That's ridiculous. Go run it again." And then as the guy walks away, he jumps up from the table and bolts from the place, And then he was buying and selling Rolexes to get, he was using a stolen credit to buy the Rolexes, and then he's selling them for cash. Fucking genius. But
I mean, his comedy, his sarcasm is... I mean, between Paybacks, I think that's probably a movie a lot of people haven't actually seen.
No.
Unfortunately, but if you haven't seen it, go out, check it out. It's hilarious. It was John Wick before John Wick, I think, a little bit.
Another one.
But the Maverick.
Maverick was good, but I'll say that one of my favorite ones is Conspiracy Theory.
Conspiracy Theory? That's a good one, too.
Very good.
That's a good one.
Because he actually gets to play a kind of a crazy, psycho,
Well, he gets to play what happened to Riggs when he didn't pass the psych exam.
Oh, yeah. Well, what's funny is he, I would say that, because I think his image is kind of overblown anyway, but that character that he's playing is what people accuse him of being.
Right.
So I thought it was kind of cool. And plus, it has one of the best bad guys.
Oh, yeah.
It's played by Patrick Stewart as the bad guys.
Yeah, that's when he was breaking out.
Yep.
And you're kind of like, hey.
He's good.
That's Picard.
Yep.
He's supposed to be a nice guy.
Yep, and he was a scumbag.
Yeah, he's not good.
Bad scumbag. So
Yeah.
But once again, sometimes I think I'm worried that movies in general are going to go away and get all the movies now are just going to be either done by Netflix or Amazon Prime or one of those other services, and movie theater movies are done.
Yeah. I think it'll depend whether or not we stay connected as a country or not.
Well, everybody's trying like hell to not stay connected.
Because there's a whole group of people that don't want movie theaters to be moving, be grooving.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole bunch that do. I think I would imagine that if they could, I think they. But the Ben Shapiro's movie they just made.
What, Gina?
No, the one before that. They made that one with that girl. There's a school shooting. She's got to figure out what to do.
Well,
they made that movie. I would imagine he would put that out in the theater.
Didn't he promise Gina Carano that he'd?
Yeah, they're making one with her.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would imagine, that he'd put that in theaters for people to go see.
Well, yeah, and I mean, part of me is hopeful because when I was working at Broovies, when I was running Broovies, we had independent filmmakers that would come in and they would show movies, and
right.
The biggest one, as far as Utah based, although they're as a company they're worldwide now, is Black Rifle Coffee actually made a movie about a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
And it was all the people that I can't remember the guy who runs Black Rifle Coffee, but he was on Rogan just a little bit ago. But it was the movie was starring him and a bunch of people, and it actually had what's that Mexican actor name, has a tattoo on his chest, played Machete. What the hell's his name? Danny Trejo. He's in that zombie movie. But it's a movie that was done by actual veterans. Basically the whole thing was okay, it's a zombie apocalypse. Here's a bunch of crazy guys with guns, let's make a movie. And so they did. And, so it's mostly them just shooting people and having fun. But yeah, I mean, it's not the greatest story ever, but, I am hopeful that there's people like Black Rifle Coffee and people like Ben Shapiro and people like, I'm hoping that Warrior Poet Society, would do a movie or something.
We grew up going to the theater to see stuff. We wanted to see it on the big screen.
Yep.
Kids watch everything on their phones.
Yeah, I know. And
they don't care if it's on a bigger screen.
Right.
Technically, I mean, a lot of these. I watch these movie reaction videos. I love watching them. These guys are watching them on their laptops.
Fucking phone, right, or their laptop, yeah.
Yeah, it's like...
I know.
I think the experience of watching it on the big screen is what's going away.
I think if I was the proprietor or the owner of a place like Cinemark or, a movie company, I would go the exact opposite of what you would think, try to save money and, because that's what a lot of companies are doing. They're trying to save money and try to get more asses and chairs. But I think, go to the more comfortable chairs, more, less seats in the theater, but more comfort, and then do the biggest screen possible. Make every screen at your 20 screen megaplex IMAXs. Just do it. And that way people will go for that experience.
I don't know that. I know Kevin Smith and them for a while were getting sponsored by one of those theaters down there in LA does the smells. So, like if a car...
so you would smell
You'll smell the rubber burning. Or...
That's funny. But yeah,
somebody walked through a rose garden, they might put a little rose smell out in the...
Right.
And the seats rumble and...
Right.
And...
Yeah.
Shake,
Might as well go for the whole thing.
So... But that was like... Those are expensive tickets. They're like $25 each or $30 a ticket.
Well, I know, but I think what they should do is go ahead, bite the bullet, do it, charge what they were charging before. I mean, every screen, do it all the way, and then charge what they were charging before, and just hope that brings people back.
Well,
because they need to get their audience back.
Yeah, I remember about 5 years ago, the talk was going to. They thought the movie theater experience was going to go away, and movies would become the new plays.
Right.
New theater.
Rich people only.
Yeah. So it'd be like $60, $90 for tickets.
Right.
To go see, because there'd be this interactive thing that happens, and.
Right.
And I could see that, but I don't know. I don't know how to fix it. I think the best way to fix it is you can't make you shouldn't make the theater pay so much for the movie,
right,
and then take so much of the ticket sales,
right? Because
it should be one or the other, right?
Working at Broovies, I know how that whole thing works. Because when you first get a movie, the split is like a 80-20 or 90-10,
right?
Where the Hollywood is getting the 90, and you're, as the business owner, is getting like 10% of the ticket sales, and then the following week it goes to 80-20, and the following week. So if you have a movie that runs forever, like there's some movies that for some reason they just keep them at the theater. But eventually it does get to where it's 50-50, and then it switches the other way, and you get the bigger chunk of the profit. But most movies only run 3 weeks, and that's about it.
Right. But I mean, you want butts and seats, $8 $10 a flick, but you split it with the company. House gets it, and then they don't have to charge outrageous prices at the concessions.
Right.
And then they'll actually make probably more money because you'll actually be willing to buy more. Because even though there's a lot of people that do buy when they go, I still say probably over half the people don't actually buy anything.
Right.
At concessions. And
I like the when I usually go, and you're right, I spend way too much money, but I usually like to go to the theaters that have food, not just popcorn or hot dogs, but like here in Utah, for anybody that's not watching from Utah, we have a Larry Miller. He was the richest guy here in Utah. He owned all the car dealerships. He opened up these things called megaplexes, and they were movie theaters, but they have a food court like you'd see in a mall, so you can get like Mexican food or hamburgers or pizza or all this stuff. And so I would always go to those with my kids. And
the seats have built-in trays, like built-in, like
right.
Go up, lay down, like
they recline, they
move, like what?
But I would end up spending
TV
like
dinner trays.
I'd spend like $15 on each of us just for the food, and then drink cost another $5 or whatever. So
Right.
it'd be basically what was it? $30 for the tickets for 3 of us. Then it would be another
90
20,
bucks.
40, 60, close to $90 on food and everything. So yeah, it was ridiculous.
Right. And I remember my parents griping and complaining about we rarely went to the theater. If we ever we always would go to the drive-in.
Right.
Because that was just a carload. And then we would take our own popcorn that we popped, and
Right.
they'd pop it into a grocery bag.
Another thing I don't.
And not the plastic ones, the old paper ones, and
Another thing that's kind of died out. I mean, I don't know of any that still exist here in Utah, so I don't know nationwide. But the dollar theaters have kind of gone
Yeah.
away. And that used to be a thing. Your main theaters would run it for 2 or 3 weeks. Sometimes longer if it was a fantastic movie. Because like Braveheart, I think ran forever. But then it would go to the dollar theater. And it used to be there was one point in my life where we'd all go, hey, there's a new movie coming out, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's going to be any good. I'll just wait for it to get to the dollar theater. That used to be something that people would say. Now
Right.
it's oh don't worry, in a
it'll
week
be on Netflix.
in a week it'll be on Netflix, or in a
Yeah.
week it'll be on
Well,
Amazon
the dollar
Prime.
theater, there was a lot of people went to it for that, but there was a lot of people, and most of them are in college towns because that's date night.
Right.
It's cheap.
Yep.
So it's cheap for college kids to go for a date. Now the kids, they just use their parents' Netflix subscription at college, and so the date is Netflix.
Right.
They just stay in and watch something on Netflix. So that's what killed the dollar theaters.
Right. Well, and it's funny because when Broovies first opened, it was a dollar theater, and people would go there so they could actually drink beer, eat food, and watch a movie, and luckily that hasn't gone away, even though they when it was taken over by somebody else, they turned it into First Run Films, and but it hasn't really changed. People go in there. The tickets are still reasonably priced compared to other movie theaters, and they're still there for beer, food, and watching a movie. Because I think that's the only way that movie theaters, in my opinion, are going to survive. Those places like in Texas, they have one called Alamo Draft House. It's a movie theater and bar type thing like Broovies, and it's a chain. I mean, they got hundreds
Really?
of them, and it's spreading across the country now. But that's the only way to do it. That's what people want. They want to be able to actually drink alcohol, eat food, watch a movie. Because that's one of those things. I mean, yes, technically you could do that at home, but most people don't like to cook at home.
That's true.
So I think that's the way that movies are going to survive, is if they combine all of those things together, so you can still have your date night.
Right.
Even though you never actually talk to your date during the movie.
So do people not talk?
Oh,
Is it not communal? Like where
no, it's set up kind of like Broovies, where it's it's not tables. They're sitting in rows.
Is it?
Yeah, and it has a table like the Miller Megaplex that you're eating. So you can hold hands.
Oh.
That's about it.
So did you get the food and then you go to your seat? 'Cause I've never been there.
Yeah, food, go to your seat. Or the way what we did at Broovies is we had these little light panels on each side of the screen that had numbers 1 through 20 or whatever. And so when you bought your food, you could get a number, and you could go sit down, and when your number lit up, you would go and grab your food and come back. So, and I
And then
don't...
you make, and it's cool, like bar and grill food, huh?
Yeah.
So
Broovies was basically pizza and burgers.
Pizza and burgers.
Yep. But like good pizza and burgers.
Good pizza and burgers. Yeah, I know. I tried some good pizza the other day, and I got to go back to it. It's this place up in American Fork. No, up in Lehigh. Up at the Point. It was called Summit Pizza.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had these like really cool like
sounds like a mom and pop place.
Like pizza knot thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like rolled up like a cinnamon roll type thing. And there were garlic Parmesan thing. It was really like creamy.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, really good. But they have ones that have jalapenos in them.
Nice.
And I really wanted to try those ones, but they only come in a big order. And the pizza was pretty expensive, but the pizza is actually really good. I like the pizza.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, I want to go back up there and have it again. It said there was one in Provo, but we couldn't find it. And we went down to where it said it was, but if it's coming there, it's coming there. Otherwise, it might be like every now and again there. I don't know how it goes, but there's
you have to realize that all of these restaurants during this time there's a lot of closures.
Yeah.
What's funny is, I'm working for, a different restaurant company now than Cracker Barrel, and they're a franchise, so they have all these different concepts that they own, but there's so many things that have closed down. But at the same time that they're closing things down, they're also looking to the future and talking about places where they're going to open up, and they're actually it's not the Gateway. It's the Gateway downtown Salt Lake. They're opening up a place there.
Wow.
Yeah. I think it's called
Is that because of
Ascend?
the apartment buildings that are around the Gateway that they're building in now, or do they think people actually going to go to the Gateway?
I don't know.
Do people still go to the Gateway?
Yes.
I know there's a lot of shops
right
that you can actually drive into now. Like on the outside, on the side of it, there's all that strip mall type shops, but not in the walking part.
Now that I say that, I don't know if it was the Gateway or there's another one that's...
Or is it Southtown?
More downtown.
Oh, downtown?
Trying to remember what that's called.
Where the old ZCMI was?
Yeah, there's a shopping center that they built, a mall there. I can't remember the name of it. But anyway. But yeah, putting in another restaurant there.
Interesting.
But, yeah, I the funny thing is it's not based on, guests coming in, because there's still a huge demand for restaurants.
Right.
I mean, 30, 40, 50 people come in at a time, but the biggest problem is it's the story of the year now is nobody wants to work.
Right. Well, not just that, but I was having this conversation with my wife. It was fascinating how you watch a movie like Demolition Man, and you wonder how in the heck did they come up with the idea that Taco Bell won the franchise wars and became the high end, the only place to go and eat. And it was like, I get it now.
Right.
When you become the only one that most popular one, and people just keep going to that one, and all these mom and pop, pretty soon all the mom and pop
close
taco places close.
Right. And then if the government ever steps in, in their great wisdom, and decides, well, we still want to have people to give them the choice of going out and eating, and and they decide to do something like they do with farms,
right.
or ranches. They buy them all up and make them all under one name, and yeah, that's possible. That could happen. I mean, if the government was stupid enough to do it, but I wouldn't put it past them.
For our safety.
Socialized food. Yes. All run by the FDA. Because they're the food.
Not the FDA, the EPA. Because it's how it impacts the environment.
Right.
That's the important part.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's what's fascinating. So, yeah, it's amazing how, just thinking about how did we get to this subject now? and then
we tangent a lot.
Right, and then to go back to you were talking about, how do we build up our fan base? You're talking about those shows that you do listen to and you watch. How many shows do you listen to that are kind of all over like this?
Well, I put Rogan, Tim Pool, that one show by Dax Shepard, I think it's called.
I haven't heard of that one.
Dax Shepard does one called something. Is it Professional or?
Oh, isn't it something Jelly?
No, you know who Dax Shepard is, don't you?
Yeah, I thought it was something about making jelly.
No, he. Anyway, he. It's just another interview type show.
Right, but in those shows, there's a direct narrative, right? Either he's talking to somebody, and you're listening to, it's Rogan talking to somebody different all the time. Do you listen to the same two people talk about the same stuff? You know what I mean?
Tim Pool would probably be the closest.
But even still, they're talking about the stories of the day, and it's usually to different people.
Right. Sometimes.
So you're getting what they're working on, what their background and story is. It almost makes me, and we've tried this, and I've tried it's like, do we need to more focus, generate?
Well, I think the more stories we can crank out. That's why one of the things that I was saying is I think it might be better if we make a sister channel, because Tim Pool, he has like Timcast IRL, and then he has just the Timcast thing, where he's alone in that one,
right?
Just telling the stories, but I think if we have one that's just devoted to story after story after story, and somebody could binge the whole thing if they're anything like me, and that would be one channel, and then there's this channel where we talk about stories,
right? Well, I get that.
Stories just jump everywhere.
So what I mean though is say, okay, so maybe this is what we do, a long form, right? But maybe after this we stop, and then we put up a timer or whatever, and we talk for 15 minutes on Killing Them Softly. Or
just
a specific movie or a specific book, a specific story, and we talk about the ins and outs of that story, and then they're just like narrative clips of specific things.
If we ever became famous enough, I'd love to do that and actually get the writer to talk to us. That would be awesome.
Because then we could do long form that way,
right?
And then it's like Tim, and it's like Rogan, and we're getting the same thing.
Right.
That's different. But when it's just, I wonder sometimes if, people are just like, oh yeah, we've heard that,
right.
And so I wonder, because the whole idea of this show was about brainstorming and spitballing, is if we sat down and we did our long format like this, but then we also took the time, and I don't know if we revisit a movie or two a week,
right,
or something, and then take some notes, and then we do I don't know, book club type of thing.
Right.
A movie club, where we talk about the movie, talk about what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it, what we liked about storytelling, what we didn't like about storytelling, the actors, all, just kind of everything we loved about it.
Right, and also if, like from that, the movies that made us, if we have any backstory to stuff, that, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that would be part of it too, it's like any type of thing, or maybe even take a minute to look it up and research some stuff if you want, if it was prevalent, if it was important to bring it up. But I wonder if having all that different type of content would be
right,
would be something.
So I think this is the people that I was talking about at one. Like I said, when I look up stories, there's this group of guys. Yeah, I think that's these guys. Anyway, these guys are called the Story Pirates.
Story Pirates.
Yes. And basically, like I said before, they take just a random subject. I'm just trying to see if there's the one that I've... Anyway, I listened to one episode of theirs where they took the story of why did the chicken cross the road, or the joke, why did the chicken cross the road, and they, as a brainstorming session, 4 of them worked together to create a movie based on that premise of why did the chicken cross the road, and it was kind of fun because, they talked about, different ways they could attack it, do it like the Inception thing, whereas all this stuff, not reality and blah, blah, blah. And so, and by the end of they actually did have a timer where they were timing how long it took them to come up with this,
right.
And then they kind of did a rundown of the story,
Well, yeah, I mean, it didn't have to be a set 15 minutes,
right.
but somewhere in that ballpark, and there's short little things you can watch, digest, and it's our opinions on movies that we love.
Right. I mean, it'd be like you said. I guess we could say that it would be similar to Siskel and Ebert.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can give a rating.
But
system.
But I'll say this right now.
I don't give a shit.
I don't think I ever agreed with Siskel and Ebert, because sometimes I don't think they were looking at.
Sometimes I
don't think they were looking at the same things that, like for instance, when I was in film class, I actually took some in college, but when we would watch these great movies, are supposed to be the greatest movies of all time, and one of them was Citizen Kane. That was the worst piece of shit film, in my opinion, ever. And I don't care how many people I piss off out there, because there was no story there.
Yeah.
But everybody, when they talk about it, they talk about the cinematography and, this overall grandeur of the movie, and, all this, all this incredible camera work and music and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that is all just horseshit without a good story.
Yeah.
And I mean, this will probably piss a few people off. And it's the same with Lord of the Rings. Now, I'm just going to talk about this as a book, not as the movie, because I did enjoy the movies, because they were visually spectacular. But the story itself, holy shit. It is literally a guy walking a fucking ring from point A to point B and dropping it in. It's like, come on. I mean, can't we get a little bit more complex than that?
I don't know. I mean, if Tolkien, so like this would be a great thing to do, right? Lord of the Rings, right? And so, just thinking about it, spitballing. Well, Tolkien wrote it as a mythology, right?
Right.
He tried doing it as a as an allegory for life and for everything that's happened.
Right.
When if you think about it, you're born and then you die. That's your life story. That's it.
Right.
You're born, you walk some ways, and then you die. You know, I mean, it's not much different. All the fun stuff that happens in the middle of it,
Right.
that's the story, right?
Right.
But
But
I
I
mean-
mean, even Forrest Gump was way better written than using that ring as the
MacGuffin.
hook that goes.
Yeah, I don't know, but so I'll say two movies that kind of were always talked up as the greatest movies of all time, and then I watch them and it's like
Right.
I've tried watching them several times. It's like
Right.
so, and they're both by the same actor, you know, Casablanca
Mm.
and The Maltese Falcon.
Right.
I've tried to watch both a couple times. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Well, I
get
know.
why these are so great.
Well, and it's funny because, you know, and when people talk about them, they'll talk about the cinematography,
Yeah, well, and then the reverence that they talk
Right.
about them with, you know.
and it's like, yes, cinematography, great, woohoo, but you know, the story has to be there, and you know, I just, it sucks when, you know, I want to be engulfed by the story, you know.
Right.
So yeah, I mean,
No, I think that might be kind of interesting. You know, it's like we can pick 2 or 3 titles, and if we can
right,
revisit them,
might actually give us an excuse to go out and watch movies.
yeah. You know, I don't know what would we do. Would you know, it'd be kind of interesting doing a classic, a childhood favorite, or like a, you know, like a mid classic, and then a modern one.
Right. What's funny
Something
is
just came out.
What's funny is you know, I'll watch a movie and like it so much that I'll look up who the writer and the director and stuff are, because I'm kind of a snob when it comes to that. You know, sure, there are some movies I'll watch because it has a certain actor in it, but most of the time I'm trying to follow directors and writers. And like the first time I saw Memento, because I went into that movie not knowing anything about it.
Yeah.
Nobody told me.
Yeah, me neither.
Nobody told me shit about it. And I left that movie going, holy shit, I need to know who did this.
Who made it?
Right. And so, yeah. And then that takes you down that rabbit hole of all the other cool shit that he's made. Right now, I couldn't tell you who made it, if you're wondering.
You picked a good example.
Right. Shut up.
I give that critique a 2.
Right. Fine. I'm looking.
You're looking it up.
Nolan.
Christopher
Yes.
Nolan.
Yes. Inception also.
So he did. So
Yeah.
Inception.
He's done a lot of cool shit.
He has done some pretty good stuff. I like Inception. I think Inception's an interesting concept.
Mm-hmm. Good story. But Memento was kind
Yeah,
of
you know,
groundbreaking.
yeah, because Conception's such a odd story. 'Cause it's like 2 stories in one.
Mm-hmm.
There's a love story,
Right.
and then there's the action story.
And plus, the
And
whole time, as the viewer, as the audience member, it's kind of like the old Total Recall, where you're not sure if he's dreaming or
Right.
if he's actually, you know. And so, yeah, it's really
Well,
cool.
but there's that. But I mean, it's like I bought DiCaprio and all the love story stuff, but I don't know if I bought him in the action stuff.
Right.
You know, I think that might be my one weak spot of that movie, but otherwise it's decent. Yeah.
Yep.
His Dark Knight. The one with the Joker might be the best thing.
Mm-hmm.
That one's just
right. So yeah, I mean,
but yeah, that might be interesting.
That would be another fun thing to do is follow the careers of these writer directors, because it's so funny to sometimes see where they started out, what their first movie was.
I was going to say that. What about because you're doing like their first movie,
right?
The middle movie, and the last movie,
right? Because like Sam Raimi, he started out with Evil Dead, for Christ's sakes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was the lowest budget of the lowest budget you could get. And it was his best friends that did all the scene. You know, I mean, it was Bruce Campbell. They just happened to, be
right.
best friends. You know, I mean, shit. Robert Rodriguez stole a camera to make El Mariachi.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And film
that in a weekend.
Really?
So he could put the camera back.
Oh.
Film the entire thing in a weekend.
Wow. That's hilarious.
That's amazing. I mean, that puts you on the status of God level. When you're like, holy shit, you made a movie in a weekend? Yes. 3 days. We did this. Boom. Shot the whole damn thing. Put it together. Yes. They did. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that. Then you have what you put up Sin City.
Right. Well, yeah, Rodriguez, after he did El Mariachi.
Did he do that one?
No.
No, he didn't do that. What?
That was who did
Zack
RoboCop?
Snyder? Zack Snyder, I think.
No, it was the guy that did RoboCop. God, what the hell's his name?
Crap, what was his name? Mario Rodriguez?
Sin City. See, this is the great thing is, we should just say that we're sponsored by Google. Anyway, Frank Miller.
Frank Miller. Well, he wrote. Did he direct it? He directed it?
He was the director.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
he directed 300 also. And Frank Miller, he wrote, but he didn't. He kind of got behind the camera, but not really. But he got directing credits for RoboCop, the original RoboCop. So, and that's where he started. I mean, besides writing comic books.
Oh, all filmography. All right.
But
Producer, writer, or director? Ooh, that's tough. What do we do?
Directors.
Just director?
No, because I can't say
Rodriguez
that because
has done 47 produced.
Because if you take
35
somebody
written and 52 directed.
Right. Because if you take somebody like Tarantino,
he's directed 52 movies.
I believe it. Hell, Shark Boy and Lava Girl is his.
Oh. Oh, he's doing the first episodes of the Book of Boba Fett.
Spy Kids. He did. Anyway. But
Machete Kills in Space is coming out.
Yeah. I can't wait. I mean, Danny Trejo's getting so old now, he's literally going to fall apart. But anyway, but you take somebody like Tarantino, and his first 2 movies was just stuff that he wrote. He didn't direct. Because he did True Romance and Natural Born Killers. He wrote both of those.
Right.
He wasn't director, though. And it wasn't until Reservoir Dogs that he did his first directing.
He did Sin City: A Dame to Kill For, so he did the sequel to it. I thought he
right. One of my favorite things that Rodriguez and Tarantino did together with 2 other directors was 4 Rooms. 4 Rooms is great.
4 Rooms, yeah.
Yeah. That Tim Roth gets to show off his acting in that.
Once Upon a Time in Mexico. That's a pretty good flick.
Yep.
That's where he does a true Mexican standoff.
Mm-hmm.
From Dusk Till Dawn.
I love it. That was the very first time. That was the very first time that Tarantino actually got to act.
But Desperado, I really like Desperado. He was in Desperado. Tarantino was.
Oh yes, just a small scene, but it's funny because
El Mariachi.
El Mariachi and Desperado is really just a remake of El Mariachi.
Kind of.
Just a better actor.
It was a better story. It was a lot better story.
Longer, yeah.
A lot better story. In fact, I can't say guitar anymore without saying it like he says it. Guitar. Do you play the guitar? I like playing the guitar.
Yeah.
He has some type of credit to Sin City.
Well,
I wonder if he was a second director on it.
Well, the thing is Frank Miller, luckily, has a lot of friends in Hollywood now, and if he, because I can't remember which movie it was, but there was a movie that he was directing that had both Tarantino and Rodriguez as kind of co-directors. I can't remember. That might have been Sin City.
Because he's got credit for Battle Angel Alita.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was done by somebody. Well, I guess he did Battle Angel. Did he do it?
Are we talking about Rodriguez?
I guess so, Rodriguez. I thought it was done by somebody else. Maybe not. Yeah. So there you go. That'd be a fun thing to do, actually.
But yeah,
break some of these things down like this. Really delve into some of these.
Because that's one of the things I think is I don't know. I don't know if this is blasphemous to say, but it used to be that the great writers were all writing books, but I'd say that some of the greatest writers now are writing movies. I guess that's just my opinion. I don't know if that's whether that's true or not, but I don't know.
It seems most everything today is still there's. I don't know how many original.
It's usually both at the same time. Most of the time. But sometimes when, especially I'll name drop again here. One of my favorite writers is Michael Crichton.
Mm-hmm.
May he rest in peace. Anyway, sometimes when you're reading his books, it feels so much like a movie when you're reading them because his books move quickly, and you find yourself flipping that last page, and you've lost all track of time. That's just that engaging, in my opinion. I don't know, but his books feel like a movie, and sometimes I think when he writes, I sometimes wonder if that's what he had in mind the whole time, is everything that he writes he wants to see as a movie, so he writes it in that way, so it feels like it has a rhythm to it,
Possibly, yeah.
I don't
know.
Because I literally read Timeline in one sitting. Sure, it was like a couple hours or more, but I didn't put the damn thing down. It was just from the very first scene to the end. It felt like a movie. I could see everything crystal clear. It was great. So yeah.
It took me a little bit longer to read it, but that's just because I'm such a.
Did you ever read Prey? Of his?
No.
God, that's a good one. Prey is really good.
A fun book is Rambo, the first one.
Oh. Who's that written by? Because I know it was a book before it became a movie.
Yeah, it was the book, and it's really good.
But in the book, doesn't he die at the end?
Yes. Troutman blows his head off.
Right.
Sneaks up from behind and puts him out of his misery. David Morrell.
Right.
No, it's a good book. He wrote a couple other. He's written other really good books. Let's see. David Morrell.
Thank goodness for IMDb, right?
I think he's had a lot of his turned into movies.
Yeah.
Let's see. Bibliography. First Blood. Brotherhood of the Rose. Remember that movie with the monks? It's the one with Sean Connery where he's investigating the monks who are dying and he can't figure out.
Right.
And somebody's putting poison on that.
Right, the one they're flipping the pages. I mean, I couldn't tell you any other scene but that one.
Creepers.
He did that? Was that his first?
No.
God, did he have anything to do with
he wrote First Blood back in '72.
Creepers is one of those. Yeah. Anyway.
Gosh.
Yeah. But I think it would be.
He wrote a book in 1990 that is a fun book people ought to go read. It's called The Fifth Profession. That one's really good. It's about being a bodyguard. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the book I think a lot of the movie The Bodyguard was based built off of. Yeah.
Well, so yeah, I think it would be more instead of like doing. I think it would be kind of better to highlight some of these writer directors versus, because really that's who we're trying to champion here is because the actors are they're doing their thing, but really the story and everything comes from the director / writers. So. And we can even talk about some of those directors that couldn't direct their way out of a paper bag.
Oh yeah, like
the one that I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's spelled U-W-E, and then the last name is B-O-L-L. U-Boll.
Oh yeah, U-Boll. Yeah, U-Boll.
He's done some of the worst movies on the planet, and every one of them, for some reason, they got the biggest name actors to star in these pieces of shit.
Yeah, he did the Blood Raven or Blood, something like that. Like
mostly video game adapted movies.
Yeah.
Because he did the one that was a zombie movie that was set on an island and it had Christian Slater in it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, there was a time there when that guy was scrambling just to find work.
Well, I know, but I mean, in that same movie, it was a zombie flick. I can't remember which video game it was based on, but it was based on a video game. But it had Christian Slater in it, and it had who's that horrible actress? Sorry, I don't really mean to stomp on her too bad, but she was in Sharknado also.
Tara Reid.
Tara Reid. She was in that damn movie too. God, I'd need to look it up just so I can warn everybody. Well, it might be entertaining just to watch, for the.
Well, I wonder if he has like a cult following, like the old.
Well, during that time when he was making movies, because I don't think he's doing anything now.
Yeah, I think he just did something.
Yeah, he did Blood Rain,
Blood Rain. That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, he did this In the Name of the King. which stars God, what the hell's his name? He's one of my favorites. It stars Jason Statham. That's right. But like I said, he for some reason his name, people were signing on to do movies with him, not realizing that they were working with this. I don't know. But what was really bad was when they were doing the trailers for these movies, the person that was putting the trailers together,
Blood Rain, the Third Reich.
when they were putting the trailers together, the movie looked like it was going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So you would go and watch these things. House of the Dead, that was the video game. That has Christian Slater, and I think that's the one. Maybe not. I don't recognize any of those people. But anyway, that was one of those. Holy crap.
He still his last thing he did, he's doing something right now. But 2016, Rampage, President Down. But,
yeah. But.
Assault on Wall Street.
Yeah.
Blubberella.
But he's done so many stinkers.
He did 3 of those Blood Rains.
He did. Which means that somebody must have liked him enough to keep watching that.
He did a movie about Max Schmeling.
Yeah.
He did the Far Cry movie.
Yep. Which I never watched.
Was it this movie Seed?
Never seen that one.
I was wondering if that was one with the girl in it that you're talking about.
No, I'm pretty sure it was House of the Dead, but I looked up the cast and I didn't see anybody famous in it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's because they...
Although I can imagine what will happen though is that we're just gonna find that when we talk about movies, you know, it's like that was the worst movie ever made. That was the best movie ever made.
What? Yeah.
Well, I mean, like you brought up that movie a couple of weeks ago, Krull.
Yes.
You know, and I'm not saying it's a great movie.
It wasn't.
But it's always been one of those. That's always one of those like guilty pleasure movies that I'll stop and watch because I just love fantasy, fiction, you know, like stuff, and
Right.
you get so little of it,
Right.
and especially that type that I'll watch it. I enjoy that movie. It's over the top. I mean, the guy that they got, the one guy, he does that Arthurian talking, you know,
Right.
the stage stuff, you know, like if you love, like, there's a movie I love, Excalibur,
Right.
but it's very hard to watch now because everybody talks in that. Over here, I found them over here. Come see this, you know, and it's
Right.
like everybody talks in that over,
Right.
and that over acting, over exuberant.
That was one of the best lines in the Avengers. It's like, dost thou know what you're doing? And he's like, Shakespeare in the Park. Dost mother know that you weareth her drapes? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be interesting. You talk about what's his name's work, Joss Whedon.
Oh yeah.
And there's somebody for me is so hit and miss.
Well, yeah, I mean, but what would be fun with him is to trace him all the way back to when he very first started writing, because like I said, I just discovered it by accident, but he was one of the original writers on the Roseanne show.
Mm. So it'd be good. Would be interesting is then watch one of those episodes.
Oh yeah, I mean,
see if it's any good. Although
I think it was him that, because when Roseanne first started, the show seemed to be all revolving around her, and you never really got any backstories of the other characters. I think he's the one that fleshed out everybody's backstory, and because there was some episodes where it was mostly about Darlene and the other sister,
right?
Being in some fight with each other or something, or that one where she was about to give a speech and she farted on stage. And yeah, so all of those type of stories, I think it was him that was the one that kind of helped flesh out those characters, because he's good at that. I mean, that was one of the things that I liked about Firefly so much, was the depth that he gave to every character.
Oh, that might be, yeah. I don't know how to do it yet. How to, I don't know how to, I'd have to figure out how to do it, but how we could do reactions to things.
Right.
Like, this would be interesting to watch. Directing, learn how Joss Whedon approaches storytelling. Learn how Joss Whedon approaches story, writing and directing in 10 minutes. There's a series called Guru. Let's see here. In the second video, Whedon talks about writing for characters that others have created and making them your own.
Right.
So that'd be Roseanne.
Yep.
Making them your own. How comedy comes naturally to him, but never in the form of writing a joke. And how television is really a training ground for writers to learn the craft of filmmaking. In the first one, even then, Whedon admits that, let's see here. Coming from a long line of television writers may have predisposed Joss Whedon to writing for television and film, but he didn't realize his love for writing until after he graduated from college. Even then, Whedon admits that he had to figure out how screenwriting worked while he was already getting paid to do it.
Right.
Whedon explains in this first video from BAFTA's On Filmmaking series how he approached story ideas and how being a true romantic and therefore a cynic colors his work. That explains a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Whedon wraps up his interview by describing how writing and directing are part of the same process for him, directing with absolute conviction to get collaborators to believe in his vision, and asking new filmmakers to just make stuff. So in the videos that I watch of people reacting to videos, the guys are having to do stuff like they flip the screen and they blow it up slightly so that you're not sharing the original content of it, and So we could figure out how to do that, and then we could have watched those, I think, and then commented on them, and they've been pretty cool.
Right.
And then there's some, like, because I've talked to you about it. I've watched these videos of these people on editing, you know, and some of that might be interesting to go over too, and how we look at that with our storytelling and how to incorporate some of that stuff, because that's cool.
Yeah.
You talked out?
No, well, yeah, pretty much. But I was, just thinking. It's funny because I was talking about making another channel, but it sounds like we also have a lot more content on this one.
Well,
I mean, at least
yeah.
Because I pretty much read book 1 of Shattered Time, so we have to put those together one of these days so people can like just listen to the whole thing, even though it hasn't been edited or added to, because there's a lot of scenes, especially at the end, that need to be filled in, but overall it's done. But sounds like we're still on the same track of focusing on stories. So
I think that's barring just the politics stuff, that's
right.
But so much of that's interwoven into our storytelling anyways. But,
right. So yeah.
Either way, we'll probably get kicked off.
Well,
for one or
not
the other,
until we become popular. Because if we're just doing this and we never become popular, nobody will even give a shit.
It's true.
But as soon as we get a couple 100,000 followers, we're doomed.
Yeah, probably don't even need that many. Truthfully.
Well,
I don't even know what we're up to. We're up to 54 subscribers.
Right.
Wham, bam, slam, boom.
Exactly. Can't get better than that.
We are tearing it up. What's the Crow? Fire it up. Fire it up. Fire it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Why is that frozen?
Because I paused it.
Oh.
I was just looking.
So yeah, I guess are we back?
Yeah, I knew I was gonna feel bad looking at it, but oh well.
But
I was just seeing if anybody had watched it with
today,
us, but
no. I think well, what's funny is,
did you hear the pain, people? Did you hear the pain?
Well, what's funny is when we I'll go home and I'll share it on Facebook to to all the people I know, which isn't a lot. Like your wife will share it from my post. So hopefully, that's how we're getting
views. Yeah,
new views.
Yeah, we've
new subscribers.
I don't, like I was saying, I think maybe we need to come up with something that gives us something, and then the only bad part though is we have to then become more consistent too.
Right. Yeah.
Which is tough because our schedules are so different.
Right.
And Laura's got almost 40 hours this week, but it's all in the back half. Most of it's all in the back half, and so I mean, she's going to be doing Wednesday. She's going to Idaho Falls on a job, so she'll be gone from 5 to 7.
Wow.
All day long. So
Idaho Falls.
I mean,
right.
it gets tough, and then I'm supposed to come up here and create, and schedule's always different and weird, and so it's gonna be tough, and hopefully we can just start creating and getting people to. But that's on us, we've got to do our part on creating stuff and creating content. I don't know if because I can stream stuff, but if you wanted to write stuff and add it to the website, you could add it. You could do stuff that way too.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if anybody's ever been to our website,
but maybe.
The worst part is, it's like you just need to start making a little bit, not a lot, little bit to start offering stuff, like I have technically some merch set up, but we don't have an e-commerce site.
Right.
Why? Because it's just a little extra. It's just enough that it makes it hurt.
Right.
But if we could cover that with a couple donations a month or something, or if we were covering it with views, then we could add the e-commerce stuff. We could add some merch to be sold, and people could buy some things and things like that. And not that would drive traffic to the site. I don't think that, but it just adds to the experience. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. And it's tough when you're already working full-time job to then do another full-time job.
But it's got to be done. I mean, because the goal is to quit that other full-time job.
Yeah. I mean, I need to be drawing. You could be writing. You could be updating the book with story update.
Right.
With
finishing up
stuff and getting it all fleshed out and all that stuff. And so I do like the idea of making the process of people coming along with us, instead of like finding it after the fact and then going back and seeing how it was all made. Because that's what I've always done. I've found how there's somebody else has done it,
right,
and then I consume all their content. It'd be interesting to learn as we go, with somebody as we go along.
Yeah, sometimes I would, as far as podcasts go, I'd love to go back. And the problem is a lot of these people that are big now, like take Demolition Ranch, for instance. I don't think you could find his first episode.
Maybe not. I don't even know if you'd want to watch it now.
Right.
It was probably 480p, if that.
Right.
With really bad frame rate. Probably barely even watch it.
I listened to a podcast where he was doing an interview about the process he went through to become who he is now, the Demolition Ranch thing. Now he owns Bunker Branding and all that other stuff. But what was funny is he talked about in the early days, he was doing this stuff and everything he did was out of pocket. He was, spending a hell of a lot more money than he was making. And, but he was getting views, a little bit more each time. And it wasn't until I don't know why, but for some reason it hit, he was one of the first people to start putting weird stuff in shotgun shells and shooting it, like marbles in one, BBs in another, gummy bears, just weird stuff that
gummy bears.
Yes. And that video for some reason went viral.
Huh. And
that's when he started getting, more and more views, and at that point he had, he was starting to make enough money to where he could go to his wife and say, because he's still working as a vet, so he was making enough money, and so now he was making enough money to where the money he was making from the videos could buy more toys, more guns, more cool stuff, and then he had to make the decision whether he was going to be another gun review channel, because let's face it, there's plenty of those.
Mm-hmm.
So
Or
he decided
channel.
he decided to go with the whole kind of a comedy type thing, where he's still experimenting with different body armors and the penetration of this and the penetration of that, and so I think he chose correctly, because as far as the only person that I know that reviews handguns that I like, because like Colion Noir, he actually does handgun reviews and different weapon reviews, but I never watch his stuff where he's just reviewing a gun, because he also does all the stuff where he goes and talks about Second Amendment rights, because he's a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd much rather listen to him talk about that stuff than what he thinks about this gun or whatever. The only person that I really think does the best on gun reviews is Honest Outlaw.
Honest Outlaw.
I think he does the best.
He probably does the best. I like him. I enjoy watching Hitchcock 45.
Yeah,
because he's
a gun reviewer too. Yeah.
no bullshit. He just talks about gun.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of reminds me of this guy that I used to buy guns from in Modesto, ex-cop guy,
Yeah.
And we'd go in there, me and Matt would go in there and talk to him about this gun and that gun. We read in the magazines and go, it's a combat gun. All you care about is whether it's hitting 5 inches or 25 yards.
Right.
Is it a combat gun? Then that's what you're getting. Look, all you need to care about, it's just like it was no nonsense. Like all you want to care about is, does it jam? Does it do this? Does it, what?
Right.
Yeah, that stuff's nice. All that other fancy stuff, but it was just, just kind of tell you how it is.
Right.
Tell you what, this is what you should probably get.
Right.
He was the guy I would say that he'd have somebody walk in his door and he'd look up and look at him and go, "Get out." No, get out.
Right.
He had somebody come in and go, "Do you have a mag for a 32 caliber? Get out." Like, not for a 32 caliber Walther, not a specific gun, but just for a round, get out. Just leave. Just get out. He was great. We loved going to see Joe. He was hilarious.
Right. Yeah. But sometimes I wonder where those guys started.
Grinding.
Right.
It's the grind, and that's what we got to do. Is that's why I say video over. I did it a few years ago. I was grinding, and I started making a little bit of a dent, but it still didn't.
Right.
It still didn't, like. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe what I was drawing wasn't exciting enough for people. I don't know what it was, but
right.
I gained like 30 something followers in 3 months, but that wasn't very many. I wasn't drawing fan art. I was drawing our comic book, and so I think that was probably the biggest problem. The people that draw the anime characters and
right.
In fact, if you draw your own characters, your own story that's anime, you do better.
Right, but there's an argument, there's an argument to be made the other way, because if you're doing what everybody else is doing, then you're just doing what everybody else is doing, and that's boring.
Well, I think it's part of just the channel,
Right.
It was Twitch, and I think that's because I'm on there. I go on there at times, and I know some of these guys are great artists, and they've got 8 people watching them. It's like,
Right.
How is that possible? But a lot of it comes down to, it's watching it live's tough. You got to pick between this and that. And I know that I've seen people who've talked about how to get started on streaming, and when you drop your streams is important, don't drop your stream the same time Joe Rogan drops his.
Right.
You probably are going to
right.
have a hard time getting people to randomly discover yours.
Yeah.
But the amount of guys are just sitting in a room like us and doing a podcast is staggering.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
We'll have to up our game.
That's why I think it's important that we've chosen to stick to a subject, because me and you could easily do a talking about the day's events type of podcast, but there's 1,000 other people doing it.
Right, 1,000. But I kind of like the way we talk about it at times, because so many of those people out there who talk about the day's events, they very quickly just go into rhetoric.
Right.
Even like Shapiro. Wow, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh, well, your stance on that's very shallow. Or like Crowder. First of all, you got to understand what you really call the gun. The gun is, it's like,
right.
Who gives a rat's ass? Like classifying the gun is going to win your argument?
Right.
That doesn't win the argument.
No.
But to come at it different angles, I think sometimes, what makes our conversations interesting is when I bring up kind of the religious studies that I've done, different angle of things that make, and then the way your angles, and our angles like
right.
this, and it's amazing how they go back and forth and in and out, and I would rather sit and talk with somebody and try to figure something out instead of just, well, here's what it has to be, or here's the
right.
The rhetoric stuff.
Right.
You toe the line, you say the right thing, whatever. But it's like, well, maybe sometimes it's this or that. That's what I like about Peterson when he has his conversations about things. He's
right.
trying to use all the knowledge he has. Well, what if it's this? Well, what if, and
right.
then this has these things happen, and somebody did a study about this, and does that play into this? And and
right. That's what I like about Peterson and Prager.
Yeah.
Because Prager, one of the things that he'll do when he sits down with somebody to debate a topic, he'll always preface the entire thing before they get started. He's like, now, we're not here to convince each other that my view is right or your view is right.
Right.
We're here to see where we differ. That's it. And then they go on. And it's, I think, just that statement relieves so much pressure. And every debate I've ever seen with him debating somebody else, it's never a heated debate. It's just talking. But, recently Shapiro was on that one TV show, Bill Maher's show.
Bill Maher's,
and I can't remember that guy's name, the other viewpoint, black guy. But they were talking about critical race theory. And that guy was the most condescending person I'd ever seen in my life. I mean, he was just, he wasn't listening to anything. He wasn't really making any arguments. He was just being
he's just spouting rhetoric, right?
Flippant, and it was just it's painful to watch that exchange, and you can even see the pain on Bill Maher's face.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Bill Maher has, been, I don't want to say talking bad or anything, but he's been questioning, things lately as far as critical race theory and, the fact that people are being silenced and all this kind of stuff, and it's, refreshing to see. And that's one of the things that I thought was so great when Jon Stewart went on that Colbert show or whatever it was and started saying, he's like, don't we as a society think it's kind of weird that the virus came out of the same place where there's a laboratory called the same name as the virus itself?
Right.
And then they're all, suddenly going, no, it didn't originate here. I think a monkey mated with a bat in Indonesia.
Right. And then Colbert was just like,
no.
So we're not supposed to talk like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Because that's one of the things that I think I appreciate the most, because like one of the people that I listen to that you say you don't like to listen to is Jimmy Dore.
Mm-hmm.
And because, it is absolutely true that, he is this close to being a communist. He's all in on the socialism thing, but I love it when he starts talking about stuff because he is 100% honest in everything. He doesn't try to bury stories or do all the shit that the mainstream media does. He'll tell you like it is, and it is so great. Because like when he was on he was on Rogan just a little bit ago, and he was talking about all of this horrible stuff that the left is doing, and like Rogan said, he doesn't sugarcoat anything. He tells it like it is, and what's funny is just like what happened to Rogan is when you start saying things, everybody starts labeling you, and suddenly he's been being more and more labeled as this like some kind of conservative shill, and he thinks it's hilarious, and Rogan thinks it's hilarious. It's like, it's the furthest thing from the truth. But, but if you say something bad about the church, the church will come back to shit on you. It's just like,
right.
It's just like Scientology, if you watch that Leah Remini show, that's the way it is, As soon as somebody says something bad about the church, it's the church's job to dig up every piece of dirt on you that they can and ruin your life. That's how the Church of Scientology operates. And that's how the left operates.
Yeah.
It's like, how dare you speak the truth? And that's one of the things that I wanted to include in that, more and more in that, any of the short stories I do for Town Called Liberty is, I've often said that, most of the stories are formulaic in the fact that, the main character usually dies at the end. But I also want to take each character through the bashing that they go through in social media and regular media and all this kind of stuff because, in the first book about green energy, that kid, he gets a job as an intern at the power company, makes a discovery that, this power plant over here for some reason is producing, 2 to 3 times the energy that any of the other wind farms are producing. And so in his mind, he has this question, is this actually producing more energy, or is there some kind of computer glitch or what? And so he starts to investigate it, and then his boss tells him to stop, and he continues to investigate it, and that's where he gets in trouble with the Homeland Environmental Labor Proctor and all that kind of stuff. But I want to kind of add to the story where in the media they start calling him a terrorist and all these kind of things, you know, and his girlfriend breaks up with him, and all these things, you know, happen in his search for the truth or whatever. Because, you know, that's the way the world works right now. Is, you know, if you ask the wrong questions, you know, these things are going to happen to you, and pretty soon you're going to be, you know.
Right.
And that was another thing. That Crime Junkies podcast that I listened to, and they were talking about that Lacey Scott Peterson thing. And, you know, almost everybody nowadays, if you ask them if they know anything about it, everybody is like convinced that Scott Peterson, yep, he did it, blah, blah, blah. But there was stuff that was that the media hid that really does call into question whether Scott Peterson did anything to his wife. Because, for instance, there was a burglar team, 3 guys that were breaking into houses, and they were caught. And after they were caught, they when the police caught this guy, one of the first things that one of these guys said to the cop was, "I want you to know, we didn't do anything to that pregnant woman."
Really?
And then, you know, they talked about how they had broken into all these different houses, and possibly the Peterson house. And when they reported it in the media, it was reported that they did the break-ins 3 days after she had gone missing. So basically they gave these 3 criminals an alibi that they had nothing to do with the pregnant woman's disappearance. But for all we know, they killed her.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest problem that Scott Peterson had was when he started doing interviews in the media, because let's face it, that entire thing was done in the court of public opinion.
Oh, yeah.
I think Scott Peterson's biggest problem was he was super socially awkward.
Mm-hmm.
And he was trying to follow the advice of his lawyers. And at the same time, he was trying to be as forthcoming as possible. But, yeah, he... I mean, let's also face it, he was cheating on his wife.
Was he?
Yeah. Because it was the girlfriend that kind of blew things wide open because she came forward. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I wonder if he did it or if he just got railroaded by the court of public opinion into jail. But I don't know. Anyway, should we finish?
We could.
Yeah.
I'm having fun over here. I realized that his head was too damn small. And now it looks better. And I can't get the damn pin to work. What is going on?
Well, that's a problem.
Huh. Wow, look how off it is.
Anyway.
Oh, well, great. I wonder if it's because of the... I wonder if it's the pin tip I'm trying to use.
Didn't you just change the tip?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's what...
Probably just has to be reconfigured or whatever.
Maybe recalibrated.
Yep.
Hopefully. But that looks a lot better than it did before. I just have to fix his collar.
Artists.
Oh, it was bad. It really was.
Anyway.
I was looking at him like, man, that just looks wrong. What's wrong with that? And I realized, damn, his head's tiny. His neck is like super long. It's like,
Okay. Burnoutstudios.com. It's really, we haven't done much content on there, but at least provides you a link to our podcasts. We need to, like we always say, we always lament that we need to put more on there.
yeah.
But the good news is at least I'm paying the bill, so it stays. So anyway, we will see you next week, I hope. I don't know what my schedule is, but if we can get this done every week, that'd be great.
Right.
So I don't have a sign off.
It would be nice if we could do it every week. It's just
Technically, last week we could have done it, but we went shooting.
we did.
It was fun.
We're sorry. We chose a day of enjoyment.
Right. And yeah,
Blowing shit up.
tomorrow's my birthday.
Tomorrow's birthday. Happy birthday.
I'm going to be the big 5-0.
Big 5-0.
Yep.
Wow. 50.
Yep.
Wow.
I know. It's horrible. I'll live. I mean, I know people that are younger than me that are falling apart a lot worse than I am.
Like me. I know. I was looking online. I wonder if this guy's texted me back yet. Probably not. He's not off work yet. I might be buying an exercise bike.
Nice.
I wanted to buy a new bike that fit me better.
Mm-hmm.
So I have one, but it's in the closet because it doesn't fit me well and it's old. And I was going to buy an old one anyway, so I could save money. But it was like, well, what happens when the summer comes? Or when the winter comes?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, maybe if I bought an exercise one.
Well, you're always welcome to come over and use my gym.
Use your gym.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little ways away.
Yeah, I know. But you have a better car now.
I do.
So, yeah.
That's why I might get the exercise bike.
Right.
My question was, could it be broken down so I can get it in the car? That was the thing. He's in Sandy. I was
Oh,
like, well, I don't know how I get it back.
right.
But
Right.
I have to start doing something. We were hanging out with my wife's brother was in town the last couple of days, and he was playing with Leland, and they were having a blast, and we were walking all over Shields, and and I was just dying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really hurting bad, so I need to figure out how to move without hurting so bad. So, and I don't want to walk. Walking is just, oh my gosh. So maybe I'll get on a bike better. It won't hurt as bad. So
Maybe.
but it's worth trying.
Mm-hmm.
Something. I gotta do something. Pool would be good, but I don't want to really go down to the pool, and I don't even know if the pools are open yet.
They are.
Well, I mean, like at the gym.
Right.
I know we went down to little place in Linden pool park that has one of those lazy rivers and all that stuff. And just getting around that thing was a lot of work.
Right.
But I could do it. I had to like crab walk it on the side.
Mm-hmm.
If I stood up and walked with it, it was too much work. But if I got down into the water and then crab walked it, it was strenuous, but it didn't hurt
Right.
my back. So I got some workout,
Mm-hmm.
but
Right.
But they closed today, so it's not like I'm going back there tomorrow to work out again. And then what happens when the snow comes? And
Right.
so, all right, sorry, I extended again.
More tangents.
More tangents. So we're made of. It's what you come for, right?
Right.
That's what you really come for. Are the tangents.
Exactly.
All right, thanks. We love you.
Yep. See
Watch
you.
some more.
Yep.
Like, subscribe, and
Share.
that's the word I was thinking. Why couldn't I think of that
And
word? That's
hell,
half our battle, right?
throw in
Kenny?
some comments. That'd be great.
Yeah, some comments. Marty might even do some favors if you give him a comment.